Welcome, grade 9 students of St. Paul American School Clark, to this explainer. Go ahead and grab your detective's toolkit because today we're not just passively reading words on a page. No, we're doing a deep dive. We're going to track down exactly how master writers pull the strings behind the scenes to build the complex people we read about.
Here is our roadmap for today's investigation. We'll start with 1, objective, analyzing characterization methods, followed by 2, explanation, the STEAL framework. Then we'll look at 3, example, STEAL in action. After that, we have 4, misconception check, focus on the method, and 5, formative check, test your knowledge. Finally, we'll wrap up with 6, recap, reviewing character analysis.
All right, section 1, objective, analyzing characterization methods. Let's see exactly what we need to accomplish today.
We really have 2 strict objectives for our investigation. First up, we're going to analyze the specific methods writers use to develop complex characters over the course of a text. Basically, we're looking way past the surface level to find the deliberate choices an author makes. Second, we'll take a step back to analyze and compare these characterization methods across a variety of texts. It's all about synthesizing the clues left by different authors to see how they uniquely shape our understanding. Okay, moving right along to section 2, explanation, the STEAL framework. First things first, we've got to define our core concept here, characterization. Think of it like a deliberate architectural blueprint that the author creates for us to uncover. We aren't just looking at who the character is. We're looking at the specific methods and tools a writer uses to construct and develop them behind the scenes. This is literally the structural foundation we're hunting for. Enter STEAL. This is our 5-step investigative tool, our mnemonic device to crack the code of how a writer builds a character letter by letter. S is for speech, so what do they say and how exactly do they deliver those words? T is for thoughts, what internal monologue reveals their mind and hidden depths. E stands for effects on others, how do other characters react or change in response to them? A is for actions, what specific behaviors do they actually perform? And L is for looks, how is their physical appearance deliberately described to hint at something deeper?
Let's see how this works in practice. Section 3, example, steal in action.
Take a look at this. Notice how this analysis doesn't just lazily say, Maria is nice. Instead, it points directly to the textual evidence. The writer used caring words for speech, concerned thoughts for thoughts, and kind actions for actions. By citing these specific methods, we're doing true, rigorous literary analysis based purely on the concrete evidence the author left us. And we can also use this toolkit to compare characterization methods across different texts and scenes. For instance, in F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, we can closely read the scene at Tom and Myrtle's apartment. Then we can compare how the writer's methods in that specific scene contrast with the methods used during Gatsby's massive party in Chapter 3 to reveal shifts in the plot. Highlighting these differences, that's exactly what a top-tier literary detective does. Furthermore, we can actually analyze how a narrator's point of view is itself a method that directly influences our views of those characters. When reading Gatsby closely, like critic Scott Donaldson points out in his essay The Trouble with Nick, we really have to examine the cryptic evidence introduced by the narrator. The writer uses Nick's specific narration, his speech, and his thoughts as a deliberate tool to shape our perception of everyone else in the book. So that point of view is a masterful characterization method all on its own. Now for section 4, misconception check. Focus on the method. Let's pause our investigation for just a second to avoid a common rookie mistake. Are we just listing what a character is like? No way. Here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. We are not just listing personality traits. We aren't just saying a character is happy or mean or sad. Instead, we are strictly analyzing the methods the writer used to build that personality. You should always ask yourself, did they use dialogue, physical description? You have to bring it back to the writer's toolbox. All right, section 5, formative check, test your knowledge. Time to put your brand new detective skills to the test. Think back to our earlier example with Maria. If a writer specifically highlights a character's caring words to develop their complexity, which specific method in our 5-step STEAL framework does that align with? Take a second to lock in your answer. If you guessed speech, you absolutely nailed it. Identifying that spoken words fall under speech is the very first step in citing strong textual evidence for your case file. You are successfully analyzing writer methods. Section 6, recap, reviewing character analysis.
Let's gather our findings and review our toolkit before we close the case on today's explainer. Let's quickly recap what we've covered. Remember, writers use highly calculated methods to construct characters. It absolutely doesn't happen by accident. The STEAL framework helps us systematically analyze a character's speech, thoughts, effects on others, actions, and looks. And finally, to truly master this concept, we must compare these characterization methods across different texts and points of view to uncover the whole story.
So here's a thought for you to take away today. The next time you open a book and read a rigorous text, don't just read the story, investigate it. Keep your STEAL framework handy and ask yourself, what masterful methods is the writer hiding in plain sight for you to uncover? Keep this question in mind and you will never read passively again. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep up the great critical thinking.